They do like to take the mick in the office sometimes about how I often seem to start these videos with, oh, we've got something a little bit different for you today. But today we really have got something a little bit different, in fact, a lot different. We have a 6-wheeled Hustler. What's a Hustler? Well, it was a kit car designed by William Townes, the famous designer who brought us the Aston Martin Lagonda, one of my favourite classics, even though I don't like Astons. One of the very few cars to be constructed entirely of wood, and I mean entirely, and don't say Morgan, don't say it.
And it does look quite a bit like a Lagonda in some strange ways, especially with the angular sort of design and that very thin grille at the front. And yeah, it is made entirely out of wood. The only metal things I seem to be able to find on it are the wheels and the subframes. So speaking of, I reckon we should probably take it out on the road and see how this thing handles.
Yeah, you ever driven a wooden car before?
No.
Well, now's your chance, go on.
Let's go. So now that we are out on the road in this little thing, it is a little bit loud in here, forgive us, but why don't you tell me a little bit about it? What are we looking at here?
Well, both the car and its designer are fascinating. Townes himself, he was responsible for some really interesting landmark cars like the Aston Bulldog and the Lagonda. He'd started out at Roots and moved to Rover and then to Aston, and that's where his sort of famous designs come from. But this was very much his personal baby. I think it grew out of the idea to create a car that could be assembled really cheaply for developing countries, really. So you took a pair of mini subframes, presumably out of a rusted old Mini, I guess, mini engine, and he would provide you with a sort of basic floor pan chassis, and you could then add basic body shells that were made of fiberglass, and you could build up a car yourself. The idea was that you could build it with the minimum of production facilities. But the wooden Hustler came along much later, and the idea was even more simple. You could basically send out a set of plans and some basic parts, and someone in a developing country could simply source the wood locally and make the car from scratch. And the whole thing is actually wood. So on these wooden Hustlers, the entire structure of the car is wood. You've got a wooden monocoque, which is why we've got such a high side here.
Yeah.
The whole thing is wood. It's made of marine ply. The instructions, I was looking at the build plans just earlier. The instructions tell you must not use ordinary exterior plywood.
It
Obviously,
will rot.
It has to be marine ply.
I mean, to be honest, even though they were mostly marine, they still rotted. Because, I mean, obviously just as a factor of age at this point. But this one that we're in right now, it's from Stone Cold Classics. It's currently in their stock. And it's not even the first one he's had. The last one he had, you may have seen featured with a certain Matt Richardson, and that was only a 4-wheeled Hustler. Now this is the 6-wheeled. Yeah. Forget your G-Wagon. Yeah. This is true special 6-wheeler.
You created a 6-wheeler by just using 2 rear subframes. Oh. Simple as that. I mean, it is only 2-wheel drive, still front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I mean, this car is quite a famous one in Hustler circles. It was built up by a guy in Bristol back in the day, and he was in all the local press at the time with the car. He was a woodwork teacher latterly, and he probably just took the bits into school, I guess, and had them done in the woodwork shop. But he obviously put a lot of love and effort into making this car. He's done things like he made I think a wooden centre cap. Yeah, here it is. Wooden centre cap for the wheel with a little inlaid H.
Monograms with Hustler.
Yeah, I mean, absolute labour of love. It's a sort of intricate inlay on the handbrake here. The gear shift is homemade, and the pièce de résistance is the homemade wooden Quartic steering wheel.
Yeah, it is crazy amount of the effort that's gone into making this as wooden as possible. Yeah. Wooden steering wheel, wooden gear lever here, which is unfortunately had a little bit chipped off it, but again, that comes with the territory, really, doesn't it? Wooden mirrors. We've got a wooden wing mirror here, which is a great little bit of craftsmanship, but when I look in it, I don't know if it's actual glass that's in there, but it's a bit warped, so it's not really great for seeing out of, but to look at, it's great. Honestly, everything in here is wooden. It's even got little T-tops above us here.
Oh, the wooden sunroof, that is part of the structure of the Hustler. They're load-bearing, whether they're open or shut, they're load-bearing. You can put stuff directly on the roof. Well, obviously you've got the handcrafted wooden roof rails as well, haven't you? This one's actually got the running gear off an Allegro, so if you're up for it probably goes quite well. Maybe not.
That's me downshifting because I don't trust the brakes on this thing. We're on country roads right now, which are mostly 40 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour. We've just come into a 30, and oftentimes that's not something that I'm thankful for. But in this, it means you can hear me again.
So I've got some of the details here for what you needed to put it together. They had the build manual and the plans back at Stone Cold. So when you built this, you needed 3 12mm and 3 18mm sheets of marine ply, and obviously don't use normal ply, a small quantity of 8mm plywood, just a small quantity, but you did need 2 kilos of the special glue.
Special glue?
Yeah, special Beetle glue it's called. 6 tubes of Dow Corning clear sealer, and something like 1,000 screws in total. I mean, you know.
Is this the bit where you come out and say, here's one I made earlier?
No, I've never made a Hustler, no. But if you wish to varnish your car like the prototype, you will need 2 litres of polyurethane
That's
varnish.
a lot of
marine varnish. Lucas, not your normal varnish.
That's the thing with this. I mean, you were saying it was sort of made with the idea of being built in third world countries.
Yeah.
Theoretically, if you really wanted to, you could build one of these out of whatever you wanted, couldn't you?
In the adverts and the brochure, it said you could put it together with where you only needed average joinery skills. But I mean, having looked at this, I think you need, you know, above average joinery skills. I mean, you know, putting a shelf up isn't going to really equip you for sort of doing this kind of stuff. There's a curve on the dashboard here and the intricate inlay and stuff he's done.
Well, I mean,
I suppose you could have done it to a basic standard maybe, and you know.
I was going to say, I mean, in a way, every single one of these was coach built, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
You can make it as complex or as basic as you like.
In the instructions, it does advise you to sand off any rough edges afterwards. So they clearly were expecting novices to put these together.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not a curved panel on this, on the outside at least. Obviously, all the bits of glass are flat, which, you know, is to be expected.
Well, the body panels and the window glass, they're symmetrical, so the same left and right. So obviously, you know, you didn't need to make hand-in panels.
Yeah, and I suppose in a roundabout way you could make it sort of like a Jeep, and if you really wanted, you could take the doors off entirely.
Well, he did do several versions. I mean, he did a massive number of variants of these. You could get obviously the 4-wheel and the 6-wheel. He later did one with a Jaguar XK engine and even the V12 called the Highlander. So, yeah, I mean, they did a Sport and a Sprint and a sort of Jeep style thing with basically no upper bodywork. They even did one that was a sort of amphibious 8-wheeler job. I think it was basically a Crayford Argo cat with a Hustler top. But yeah, Town's imagination knew no bounds, and you know, you could. They reckon there were no 2 Hustlers the same.
I reckon so too, as we just get overtaken by what is a new Ford Puma, not the cool one from the noughties. He is jealous. I'd rather be in this than that anyway. Q-Cho's SUV comments.
We were quite close to someone on that roundabout back there. What I should have mentioned to you is one of the selling points they mentioned was that if you had a minor bump in traffic, you could use a steam iron to even out the ripples in your marine glide.
Iron out the bumps.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I reckon as much fun as I am having with this little thing, I think we should probably pull over sooner or later and let you have a turn behind the wheel, because you're the man who seems to know the most about them. And I'm praying here that I don't hit this pheasant.
That's alright, we'll get the iron out. It's actually a really easy car to drive.
Yeah.
It's just, well, like an Allegro, really.
I mean, you get past having no power steering, which, to be honest, isn't even that big a deal anyway. And all these tiny, skinny little tyres anyway. Yeah. But aside from that, it's really simple. I mean, we've obviously got this little 4-speed box, which is very difficult to get anything wrong with.
The quartic wheel is a lovely judge of it. It's appropriate because the running gear came from an Allegro, which, as I'm sure you know, was the car that debuted the quartic wheel.
Everything holds up really well. It's really simple in the best of ways, and I think that's really what sells it.
Yeah.
The fact that it is still here is really a testament to how well put together this thing is. Paul throws it into a bend. In any case, I'd say that seems about a decent place to end this thing off, really. I'm going to do that again.
I can't find fault with this.
Hey, well,
I just love it. Sorry.
I think it's about time we dovetailed this into a conclusion.
Yeah, I hope you liked our presentation. It wasn't too wooden for you.
Yeah. But in any case, thank you ever so much for watching. If you'd like to see more things like this, like, comment, subscribe. We love to hear what you guys think. Have you ever seen one of these before? This is the first one I've actually come across. Ring that notification bell if you'd like to see more as it comes out on the day. And thank you for watching. We will see you very soon. Goodbye now.
Thank you.
Okay, here's one for you. Pulling into a fuel station in a car made of wood. Now, fuel, a notoriously flammable substance. It's actually the fuel tank isn't also made of wood.
It's all right. The window's in an emergency.
Oh yes, of course.
Right.